Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, Sam Altman is asking for trillions of dollars to build the biggest infrastructure project in human history.
He's literally wanting to pave the planet with GPUs.
Yeah, basically. And meanwhile, a solo developer in a garage just rebuilt a major defense contractor's software in an afternoon. So the definition of work is just, it's collapsing right in front of us.
It's the split screen of the century, really. On one side, you've got these tech gods building a machine that costs more than the GDP of most continents.
Right.
And on the other, you have a single person doing the work of a 500-person company. If you aren't paying attention to this massive wealth transfer, you are going to get run over.
That is definitely the theme for this entire deep dive today. We are looking at a historic takeoff year.
Oh, absolutely.
You're seeing signals everywhere that 2026 is the year that engine really revs up. We have a massive stack of updates to get through for you today, from the 3 comma club to the $100 genome. So let's just jump right into the deep end.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we got to start with the lead story. There is this viral clip circulating from at the Humanoid Hub that is making everyone's jaw just hit the floor. It features Sam Altman, and he is dropping an absolute bombshell about what is actually required to power this next phase of AI.
And just to be clear here, he isn't just talking about making chatbots write better emails anymore.
Oh, no, not at all. He's talking about the GPU capacity needed for digital work generally, but crucially for home humanoid robots.
Yeah, that is the key distinction. If you want an AI to write a poem, that's one thing. If you want a robot to fold your laundry or fix a leaky pipe.
Which is what they keep promising us.
Exactly. But the compute power required to process that physical reality in real time is exponential. And Altman isn't hiding the true cost of that anymore.
He is calling this the most expensive and complex infrastructure project the world has ever taken on. The estimates floating around right now are in the $7 to $10 trillion range globally.
7 to 10 trillion. I mean, it's hard to even wrap your head around a number that big.
Right, it's absurd.
To give you some context, the entire federal budget of the United States is usually around 6 or 7 trillion.
Yeah.
Altman is talking about building something bigger than the U.S. government's entire annual spend just on chips and data centers.
Which really begs the question, where do you even put all of that? You would think with that kind of budget, maybe we put these data centers in space, solar power, easy cooling.
No land disputes.
Yeah, exactly.
You would think so. Elon Musk has been talking about orbital data centers for ages. But this is where the cold, hard reality of physics comes in.
Right.
Altman calls the space idea ridiculous for the current timeline. He says the cost to launch is still way too high. So this infrastructure has to be built here on Earth.
Which brings us right to the massive bottleneck, energy.
Exactly. We are talking about an unbelievable strain on energy grids. If we're going to have a robot in every home and an AI doing every digital task, the power consumption is going to be astronomical.
It's just wild.
Altman is basically admitting that to get the shiny future he wants, we need to rebuild the entire energy infrastructure of the planet first.
And it's not just a someday problem either. We saw at DariaTR_ pointing out Altman's warning about an imminent AI takeoff in 2026.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's warning about extremely capable models hitting an infrastructure that just isn't ready for them.
It feels like we are standing on the beach watching a tsunami form, and Altman is frantically trying to build a seawall out of graphics cards before the wave hits us.
That's a great way to put it.
But we really got to pause and look at who is building that wall. Because this is where I get a little cynical about the whole saving humanity narrative they're pushing.
You're thinking about the motive behind all this.
Oh, I am absolutely looking at the motive. At Shruti Mishra flagged a really telling comment from Altman recently. He admitted that when AI outcodes him, he feels a little useless and sad.
Yeah, that was a surprisingly vulnerable moment for a CEO, right? Usually they project total invincibility.
It is vulnerable, but you got to zoom out for a second. OpenAI is valued at over $150 billion. If one company controls the infrastructure that makes humans, including Sam Altman himself, economically useless,
wow,
we aren't building a shared future. We are building the ultimate monopoly.
It really does feel like the board is being set for a very small group of winners.
It's what some analysts are calling the Iron Triangle. Did you catch the clip at CAB_Doge shared?
Oh, the one with Jensen Huang from NVIDIA.
Yes. He is explicitly praising Elon Musk.
I did see that. He called him an extraordinary engineer and talked about how much he loves working with him.
And look at the specifics he mentioned there. He specifically called out Grok, which is Musk's AI model, and Optimus the robot. Connect the dots for a second. You have NVIDIA making the chips, you have xAI and OpenAI making the brains, and you have Tesla building the bodies.
So it's vertical integration on a planetary scale.
Exactly. These massive players are consolidating. They are shaking hands and building the infrastructure of gods, while you and I are just trying to figure out how to pay our software subscription fees.
Yeah.
It's not democratization. It's the industrialization of intelligence, and it's owned by 3 or 4 people.
That is a legitimately terrifying thought. But, and here's the counter-narrative, and this is where things get really interesting for you listening. While the giants are shaking hands, the little guys, the solo hackers, they are armed with nuclear-grade weapons right now. I want to break down this thread from @MinChoi.
Ah, the solo developer story. This one is crazy.
It is the perfect example of the other side of the coin.
Mhm.
This guy, a single solo dev, created a geospatial dashboard. Now, for those who aren't in defense tech, this is the kind of software that tracks satellites, military assets, thermal overlays.
Very heavy-duty stuff.
Yeah, it essentially mimics what Palantir charges governments millions and millions of dollars for.
When usually building something like that requires a team of 50 senior engineers and 2 years of development time.
Exactly. He used Claude 4.6 and Gemini 3.1, and he built it practically over a weekend.
The visual on his post was wild. It looked like something straight out of a situation room in the Pentagon. Real-time satellite tracking, slick, classified-looking UI.
And he did it completely alone. This is what we mean by the democratization of defense tech. What used to take a fat government contract and 5 years of dev time is now a side project for a guy sitting in his garage with a laptop.
Okay, but let's pump the brakes just slightly on the whole death of Palantir narrative here.
Fair enough.
Palantir's co-founder, Joe Lonsdale, actually weighed in on this exact dynamic in the replies.
Oh, really? What was his take on it?
His argument is all about the concept of a moat. In business, a moat is the thing that protects your castle from competitors. Lonsdale argues that for a company like Palantir, the software interface itself isn't the moat. Any kid with Claude can build a cool UI now.
Okay, so what is their moat then?
It's the trust. It's the security clearance. It's the ability to legally deploy software on an air-gapped classified server inside a military bunker. You can't just vibe code your way into the CIA's classified network.
Okay, that's fair. You can't replace a top-secret security clearance with a clever prompt, but you can replace the actual work.
True.
Biff Bezos pointed out some data that we really can't ignore here. Tasks that used to take a full workday, like 8 hours of human grinding, they now take 5 to 10 minutes with Claude Opus 4.6.
That is the metric that actually matters. Lonsdale is right about the top tier of defense. The classified stuff is safe. But what about literally everyone else?
Exactly.
What about the mid-sized consultancy? What about the data analysis firm downtown? If a 2-person startup can match the output of a 500-person firm because they have massive AI leverage, the economics of the traditional firm just collapse.
It's efficiency at a scale we have never seen before. It actually reminds me of that quote at @RohanPaul_I shared from Chamath Palihapitiya. He used this brilliant refrigeration analogy.
I love this analogy. It frames the current moment so perfectly.
So the idea is that LLMs, these large language models, they're like the invention of refrigeration. The people who invented the fridge made some money, sure. Maybe they built a nice little appliance business. But the real winner was Coca-Cola.
Right. Coca-Cola didn't invent the fridge. They didn't build the cooling coils. They just used that new infrastructure to build a global empire that wasn't physically possible before. They leveraged the tech to completely change distribution.
So the trillion-dollar question for the market is, who is the Coca-Cola of the AI age?
And my argument is that we haven't even seen them yet. Right now, everyone in Silicon Valley is too busy building better refrigerators.
Yeah.
Better models, more infrastructure, bigger data centers. But the company that uses this to actually change how we live, that throne is still totally up for grabs.
It's all about the application layer.
Exactly. And if I had to bet my own money, the next Coca-Cola isn't going to be a 500-person legacy company trying to pivot. It's going to be the solo capitalist like that dev building the defense dashboard who figures out how to scale a massive idea without the bloat of a traditional corporation.
I love that. Everyone is just building better refrigerators right now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pivot a bit. We've talked about code. We've talked about infrastructure, basically the digital world. Now I want to talk about atoms, biology. Because while we are all staring at our screens, something massive is happening in the physical lab.
This is the reality check we desperately need. Sometimes we get so caught up in the chatbot hype, we completely forget about the physical body.
A Malik shared a chart that literally made my jaw drop. It tracks the cost of sequencing a human genome over time. Now, for you listening, sequencing a genome is basically reading the biological source code of a human being.
And the history of the pricing here is the absolute definition of an exponential technology curve.
Listen to this. In the year 2000, it cost between $500 million and $1 billion to sequence one single human genome. $1 billion.
Only massive governments could afford that. It was basically a moonshot project every single time they did it.
Then by 2006, it was $20 million. 2 years ago, it was down to about $600. And now, in 2026, it is $100.
$100. I mean, that is the cost of a nice dinner for two.
Exactly. And this is all thanks to Element Biosciences and their new Vitari device. This hardware is actually beating Moore's law, which is supposed to be the gold standard for how fast computers get faster.
It is, and this is tangible stuff. This isn't a chatbot hallucinating a lawyer's brief or confidently making up historical facts. This is hard science.
Right.
We are unlocking the source code of humanity for the price of a pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
The implications for personalized medicine are just staggering. Imagine going to the doctor, and they don't just guess what drug might work based on averages. They look at your personal code and know exactly what fits you.
But this brings up a huge conflict, right? Because you have been pretty vocal about the limits of AI when it comes to the physical world.
I'm just looking at what the actual domain experts are saying. At R0CK3T23 shared a post quoting Yann LeCun, who is the head of AI at Meta. And LeCun is famously skeptical about the current direction of AI research. He's still banging the drum that we are getting way too excited about language.
He calls it autocomplete at scale, right?
Autocomplete at scale, exactly. LeCun argues that these systems, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, they have absolutely no world model. They don't understand physics. They don't understand cause and effect. He says an insect, a literal bug, can navigate the physical world better than our most expensive trillion-parameter AI.
That is such a humbling comparison. A housefly is smarter than a trillion-dollar data center.
In terms of navigating physical reality, yes, absolutely. Yeah. An ant knows that if it drops a crumb, the crumb falls down. A language model only knows that the word down statistically follows the word fall in its training data. It doesn't understand gravity. It just understands grammar. And it highlights a massive potential misallocation of resources right now. We're spending trillions on language models, on these glorified chatbots, while the real world, the world of biology and physics, operates on completely different rules.
Right.
The $100 genome is a huge victory for atoms, for physical reality. But LeCun is asking the hard question, are we over-investing in bits?
That's the real tension here. If we want those humanoid robots Sam Altman is promising, the ones that fold laundry or fix a car engine, they need to understand the physical world, not just how to write a sonnet about a car engine.
Precisely. And until we bridge that gap, all this infrastructure Sam Altman is begging to build is just a really, really expensive library. And library doesn't fix your car.
Speaking of libraries and screens, let's talk about how people are actually using this stuff right now in the culture. Because the data suggests we are officially moving past the novelty phase. It's not just people playing around making funny images anymore.
The usage numbers are aggressively shifting.
Yeah, Ada16 shared some data from Yipit data showing that active user time on AI apps has jumped from under 5 minutes a session to over 20 minutes per session.
That is the ultimate stickiness metric. 5 minutes is, hey, look at this funny joke, or write me a quick limerick. 20 minutes is, I am sitting down and doing my job.
Exactly. It's becoming a daily habit. It's becoming a core workflow. And the tools are rapidly evolving to match that professional demand. Have you seen what @Hedger_Labs is doing?
The AI avatar platform.
Yes. They just launched 10-minute avatars with multi-speaker support. So you can literally type out a script, and it generates a photorealistic video of two people talking to each other completely uncut for 10 full minutes.
That's insane.
You can basically generate a whole deep dive or a corporate presentation without recording a single second of audio or filming a single frame.
Which is mildly terrifying for us sitting here behind these microphones.
Yeah. I really try not to think about it too much, but combine that with what @Runway ML just dropped. They integrated Kling 3.0, Sora 2 Pro, and Wan 2.2 all into one single platform.
This is the death of the production studio. Just like Min Choi showed us the death of the Defense Software Agency with his dashboard, Hadra and Runway are showing us the death of the creative agency.
Yeah.
If you can generate a professional video presentation or a slick marketing asset in 10 minutes for literal pennies, why on earth are you hiring a team of 10 people and renting an expensive studio downtown?
It's the middleman crisis all over again. But I want to go one layer deeper here. It's not just the creative work changing, it's the hardcore technical work too. At Yuchenj_UW, he's the CTO of Hyperbolic Labs, he made a massive prediction that the terminal is dead.
The command line. Like the black screen with green text that hackers use in the movies.
Yes, that has been the ultimate symbol of real engineering for 40 years. He says we are moving from terminal-based coding to app-based, then to OS-based, and finally to just Jarvis. You just talk to your computer in plain English.
This is the end of the engineer as a distinct identity then. If you don't need to know the syntax, if you don't need to know how to navigate the command line directory, then what actually are you? You aren't a coder. You're a manager. You're a prompt manager.
Yuminchen calls it a boiling soup of code. Software just becomes ephemeral. You need an app for one specific task today. The AI builds it, you use it once, and you throw it away. You don't maintain it. You don't push updates.
And that completely changes the psychology of building things. It's no longer about craftsmanship. It's purely about throughput. And if the terminal dies, a whole culture of tech wizardry dies right along with it.
Yeah, we lose that depth.
We are making everything wildly accessible, which is great for the average user, but we might be losing the deep fundamental understanding of how the machine actually works. If the AI hallucinates a critical line of code, and you don't know how to read the terminal to go in and fix it, you are completely stuck.
We are trading deep understanding for massive capability.
That's the core trade-off of the decade. And honestly, it changes who holds all the power. If the terminal is dead, the only people who really truly understand the machine are the ones building the base models. Which brings us right back to that iron triangle we talked about earlier.
So bringing this all together for today, we have Altman demanding to build a $7 trillion brain. We have solo devs dismantling the defense industry's massive barriers to entry. We have human biology becoming cheaper to read than a pair of jeans. And we have the very nature of our jobs, whether we are coders or creators, dissolving into the middle management of these AI systems.
It's a lot to process for one day.
It is. So what does this mean for you, the listener? Where does this actually leave us tomorrow?
I think we are heading straight for a catastrophic collapse of the service economy. And I don't mean waiters and bartenders. Physical world jobs are actually incredibly safe for now, as LeCun pointed out.
Right. No world model yet.
Exactly. I mean, the knowledge service economy. Look at the trend lines we just discussed.
You mean the agencies getting squeezed out?
Yes. Exactly. By 2027, I predict the middleman agency goes entirely bankrupt. Marketing firms, dev shops, mid-tier consultancies, if their entire value proposition is, we take your request and we pay humans to execute it, they are dead.
Because the client can now just execute it themselves.
Exactly. They do it themselves with Claude or Hydra for a fraction of the cost and a fraction of the time.
So where does all that monetary value actually go?
The value is only going to accrue to two distinct groups. First, the infrastructure owners, Allman, Musk, Jensen, the people who are renting us the raw intelligence. And second, the solo creators, the brilliant individuals who know how to wield these tools to do the work of 50 people.
The entire middle gets squeezed out.
Completely hollowed out. If you are in the middle, sitting in a Zoom meeting right now discussing a project that an AI could functionally finish in 5 minutes, you are standing in the blast zone.
That is a very sobering thought to end on, but a totally necessary one. If you are listening to this, you really have to ask yourself, are you the infrastructure? Are you the solo creator, or are you the middleman? Because the middle is a highly dangerous place to be right now.
Adapt or evaporate.
But that does leave me with one final thought to chew on. If the middlemen all vanish and everyone just becomes a hyper-efficient solo creator pumping out AI-generated apps and content, who is actually buying it all? Are we just going to end up in a world where AI is aggressively selling hyper-personalized services to other AIs?
Now that is a terrifying second-order effect.
Something to mull over until next time. Massive thanks to everyone tuning in for this deep dive. We will be back tomorrow to see if the world has changed again. Keep your vibes verified.